Hello everybody and welcome to another Peteman Reviews. Today we have the Make Toys robot Bulldozer. He's part of Giant Type 61. Now as is reasonably obvious to see, the Make Toys Bulldozer is actually is a redeco of the Constructicon Bonecrusher and combined to form Devastator. So in terms of Bulldozer, as you can see, he starts off as a bulldozer. Fairly obvious transformation, and you can tell from the name, but hey, does what it says. Now, most of the other Constructicons have places to put their gun. As you can see, I've taken this off here because there isn't really a slot on Bulldozer for it. It kind of rests on there, but there isn't anywhere else you can slot it. So never mind, it's no problem. It's just something I wanted to draw attention to because the others all have somewhere to slot theirs except for Bulldozer. So we won't worry too much about it. As a bulldozer, it's quite good actually. You know, it looks really effective. There aren't any wheels at all. You've just got the treads which don't move. So you can roll him, well, I say roll, you can push him along, but there aren't any wheels or anything. So that's perhaps a little bit of a downside. The others all do have some form of tread, but Bulldozer does not. The actual shovel, it does move up and it does have some rotation to it, as you can see, so that's pretty good. You could, in theory, rotate it like that and carry a load. Otherwise you can rotate down. There is also a little bit of angling as well. It's very minor, but you do have just a slight, can you see? Just a slight wiggle. Not much, but just enough to be able to push something in a circle, for example. So, detailing, pretty good. Again, as you can see, quite obviously the cab, quite some nice intricate detailing around there with the stickers and how this looks. And the actual tracks themselves, while they don't move, they look very good. You can see this. There we are, detailing around the wheels. If they moved, but in fact they don't, never mind, but there is the detail on there, so it is pretty convincing, and that's replicated on the other side too. So all in all, toy wise, or alt mode wise, pretty convincing. Probably one of the best looking representations of a bulldozer. It's just a pity about the treads. So transformation wise, it's considerably more complex than his G1 counterpart, but you expect that of all third-party toys. They do give good articulation, but the cost of that is the complexity of transformation. Then again, given price point, they ain't aimed at kids, so yeah, you've got to expect that to a point. So, transformation-wise, to begin with, you need to lift up this section, like so. Now, you can see the back like that. The legs do pop out a little bit because there's a little tab here. Try and angle it so you can see. There's a little tab here and a tab there. Yeah, there's no way you can see that, but there's a little tab there. There we are. And that just releases it for that. So, what you now need to do is just to go like thus. It's very stiff joints, but see, this part here was slotted up there. You don't want it slot up there, you want it out here now. So, this comes all the way forward. So what you now end up with, effectively, these will form his legs. You can see that's a foot there, and that's a foot there. These need to rotate out, like that, so you've now got legs. Obviously, it's not going to stay like this, so don't worry, it's not. Shovel does come apart, so you can get that out of the way when the time is right. We're not at the time is right yet. Within here, this part here, is his head. Don't worry, we're not at that stage yet either. So, you pull this down, you pull it down. These are going to form the arms. Thus. This stage, it's probably a good idea to just play around a little bit with your bone crusher, because he also has knees. You can see the split here. So, you see, just wiggle. Voila, knees. It helps if you look here. By the way, these also need to come down, because what you've got here is the other part of his foot. Yeah, you can kind of see they ain't too simple to do, but there we are. So that's the full foot there. Wiggle the knees again. Ta-da. Don't worry if it pops off like I've just managed to pop it off here. It is meant to do that, and sometimes, you know, it actually seems almost unavoidable. But don't worry if it does happen. It is meant to pop off. Popping it back on is sometimes harder than it looks. So you can watch me struggle with that, or you can just leave it popped off. I'm just going to leave it popped off for now. So you want to get rid of these shovel parts, because shovel parts clearly aren't meant to be at the front. Rotate round, you can see that all rotates like this. And again, rotate round, all rotates like that. Kind of makes it look like it's got swords. Now, bear in mind this is the waist. They look like swords. They aren't swords. You can try and pretend they are, but it ain't going to do any difference, is it? Arms then. So where were we? Da-da, da-da. This here is his hand. Flips out like thus. So you can see how it's kind of working now. You want to bend this round so this part is at the front, because that gives you the shoulder to give you the flexibility. So as you can see on here, it's not like that at all. So to rotate round, so it is, gives you the shoulder part, and once again you see the hand is actually underneath, so you flip that out, round, there we go. Almost there. Obviously his head is not yet ready, so this flips up like that, and then having flipped it up, you've then got to, this is where it's a little bit tricky, you've then got to kind of manoeuvre this so that the head stays but the top comes off. There we are, because that becomes a chest piece there, with the head connecting like thus. Here we go. Almost there now. I say almost there. We're actually very nearly there completely. In terms of this stuff at all this stuff at the back, you can make it just go like that if you want. It doesn't really do anything. It just makes him a little bit more stable by having things a bit more centralised. I would suggest looking at more like that, just because otherwise it starts, when it becomes visible, it's a bit messy. Just one of the things you're just trying to think. This is the trouble with this area. That's probably the best way. This is the trouble with this guy. There's a lot of it's not. Well, I suppose it is kibble in that it's all attached, but it's just trying to put it in a place that makes it work. So you end up with a bit of a problem. So these parts here really pop off really easily, and popping them back on ain't quite so simple, which is a bit of a shame, because it kind of feels like they shouldn't really. It's a bit of a needless gimmick. It's not gimmick really, because they're not meant to pop off. It's done there. I guess it's done there for safety reasons. If you put too much pressure on, it's also there. That's the only thing I can really think of. Because why else would you make it pop off? I'm not going to sit there and do this because I could be there for ages, and frankly, you'll find that boring to watch. So, here we are then. Bonecrusher. Bulldozer. Call him what you will. He's changed. He's... I say he's stable. He don't look it, does he, when you're trying to stand him up. He's alright as a transformer. It's just getting him so that he stands up in such a way that these are level, but because you've got all this gubbins going on at the back, that's what I think is the difficult part. Gun, you're like this. It's much easier. Da da da. Don't know why I felt the need to make a little noise there. Kind of wish I hadn't now, but there we are. And it actually just clips on. You know, there we are. It's not much to it. So there we are. That is Bonecrusher, or Bulldozer as they like to call him, in his robot mode. Looks good, doesn't it? He's a little bit skeletal. So the detail is pretty good. He's a little bit unstable, mainly because he's got all this going on at the back, and the fact that because these are in a level plane, it doesn't. But you've also got the round tracks here. It doesn't quite. It's a bit difficult to make so the feet are level, but also so that he's stable. So not the camera. Also make it so that he's stable. This bit it will pop back on, but it's going to take a while because they're a bit of a bugger to put back on. Never mind. So we'll just do our comparison. Here he is against the commemorative edition of G1 Skywarp. I'll move the camera there so you can actually even see that he's in the commemorative edition of G1 Skywarp. And Combinables smoke screen. Definitely on par with them. A little bit taller than both, but it feels on par. Whereas the other Constructicons, the original, the G1s, a little bit on the short side. These guys are not. And that's good. That really is good. I quite enjoy that. And it also makes for a bigger Devastator as well when you have them at the more correct size. Posability. Pretty good actually. So a little bit unstable, but he has knees. He has elbows, shoulders, wrist rotates as well, which is a nice touch. Not all of them do that. He doesn't. His hands don't move, but that does. His head moves as well. That's quite decent range of movement. I know all third-party toys have this, so you would expect it. And that said, new official toys like that have that manoeuvrability as well, or posability. But it's nice to see, and I think it's worth mentioning. What feels a little bit odd for me is what they've ended up having to do with the actual bulldozer element of it. Because they don't really have anywhere to go. They kind of sit like that and produce quite a lot of kibble at the back. And these, they look a bit like swords, and it's disappointing not you can do that to get rid of them so that they don't look like swords so much, and they're just little pointy bits there. And that's all well and good, but then you've got these left over, which frankly you'll lose. So you end up having to put them back on. So it feels a bit like a lost opportunity there. I'm not quite sure how you would have made them into swords, but given the transformation ends up with it looking like he's about to go all samurai on you, and he doesn't, that's disappointing. So in terms of robots, overall, how does Bulldozer work? Well, the Bulldozer is good. The robot, I have to say, I'm less convinced by, just because it's a bit of an awkward transformation. The tracks, they do change into legs, but it's a little unstable. And I've got to be honest, I actually think this part here where there isn't a track above the leg looks better than the part there where there is a track above the leg. However, you look at the official instructions, yes, I do need them because they're not the easiest things to transform, quite clearly shows the tracks as being there. But I don't know about you, that looks far better than that, which is just a bit bulky. But then where would you pop the track off, and where would you put it? You'd lose it. And it's not meant to pop off, so yeah, it's a bit of a compromise, isn't it? And I suppose that's inevitable with the combiner. Is at what point what do you want? Do you want a robot? Do you want a bulldozer? Or do you want something that's going to combine into something else? And I think that's the difficulties, because particularly bulldozer. We look at the nice little drawing of Devastator, and he's got to form an arm as well. I know the arm is the bulldozer, but he's still got to have all the combination elements for that. So it's where that compromise comes, and I perhaps feel the robot is the part that suffered here for me. Yes, it works. Don't get me wrong, it works. It's decent height, great manoeuvrability, great posability, but it just doesn't quite work. It feels a bit too spindly. And then you look at the side view, and there's just a lot of compromises with the stuff going on in his back. But let's just be clear. Compromises, yes. Spindly, yes. Bad robot, no. It's a very good robot, and I say very good robot. It works, doesn't it? It works in the fact that it's decent size. He's got joints. He's okay. He's not the most stable guy in the world, but equally you don't have to touch him and he falls over. He's just not convincing. Is probably the word that I need. I can believe he's a good arm for Devastator. I can believe he's a good robot. Sorry, not a good robot. A good bulldozer. But as a robot, not so much. Whereas Mixmaster made a good robot and a good cement truck and a good leg, Bonecrusher does not. He makes a good bulldozer and a good arm. Robot, not so much. Still, you need to get hold of him, don't you? Because you need to get Devastator. So you would not buy him, if that makes sense. As a standalone character, yeah, you get him, wouldn't you? You wouldn't say, no, he's not quite as good as somebody else. You'd go, he meets all my requirements. Okay, he's not my favourite character. He's not, in the same level of posability or the same level of robot quality as someone like Smokescreen here. But you wouldn't say, I'm not going to not get him. Anyway, I could waffle on about this for ages. You don't want me to do that. You've had enough of listening to me for now. There we are. That's how to transform Bulldozer. Join me on the next review, and we'll move on to another of the Constructicons. And in the meantime, please leave any comments below. What do you think? Have I said things you don't agree with? Can you transform them without popping this off? You probably can do. Let me know. Click on the other links and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.